Hello my lovelies, this is Corey. Welcome to another painting tutorial. You may notice if you have seen any of the videos of mine that this one is a little bit different. I did add some music to the intro, and during some downtimes in the video when I'm not talking there is going to be some background music. So I figured I'd try that out and see what you all think. I hope you like and enjoy it. But without further ado, I'm going to get into this watercolor tutorial for painting lips. In this particular piece, I did not do an underpainting, so I just started with the sketch, the very light outlines with the 4H pencil, and then pre-mixed my lip and skin tones. You can see in my palette, I have the four sort of different areas for the different skin tones. So for the lip color, I used a combination of cadmium red light and medium, as well as a little bit of alizarin crimson, and then yellow ochre, and I believe I also added a little bit of ultramarine blue to tone it down a bit. There might also be a little bit of burnt umber in there to give it a brown color. And then the darkest skin tone, that lovely brown, is mostly the burnt umber. There's a little bit of yellow ochre in there, as well as some cadmium red light, and then I think I added some Payne's gray to darken it down. And then those other two are just for sort of some highlights. I wound up not using them that much, but they're mostly yellow ochre, cadmium red light, and a little bit, I think, of raw sienna. So I'm going in with that initial lip tint that I created and just blocking out the main areas of light and dark, and then I went over with a little bit of ultramarine blue because there were some sort of blue undertones in the shadows. And now for those darkest shadows, I am using that brown skin color that I had mixed up. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you will recognize the brush I'm using. It is my Princeton Art Brush and Company size 4 round tip brush. It is just kind of my workhorse. It works great for really fine details because it comes to a very fine point, but then also I can fill in those smaller areas of color. This sheet of watercolor paper, it's 140-pound paper, and it is 6x8. I've been using 6x9, and this was originally 6x9, but I trimmed it down. And here on that sort of bottom darker lip part, I was adding a little more of that cadmium red medium to give it more of a red tone. I will do that a lot more. Here you see I'm really kind of filling in with that lip tint, and a little of, I wind up going over with cadmium red medium as well. And the key to this piece was really allowing time between layers to dry. There were a couple moments where I was a little overzealous and continued to put color on and realized, okay, it's all just blending together and muddying my light and dark parts because the lower layers weren't dry yet. So it's very important with realistic painting to allow time to dry between layers. Sometimes you do need that wet on wet technique for colors to blend nicely, but when you get to a certain point where all your colors just feel like they're kind of bleeding together and just becoming a general muddy brownish gray, then you might want to just sit a spell, let it dry, get up, take a walk, and then come back later. It can also help you to get a fresh perspective. If you walk away for a little bit and then come back, you may notice something you didn't before. So here's that cadmium red medium that I was talking about, adding on that lower lip just to really give it the rich tone. And I will link the reference image in the description. I've been using images mostly from Unsplash. They have copyright-free images, which is great, but I also want to give credit to the photographer because there's some really lovely work on there. And then with lips, making sure that you have that upper lip darker than the bottom lip. Ultimately, the light, unless it's in a very weird place, like down below the face, your upper lip is going to be darker because the lower lip protrudes a little further and the light is going to shine on it. So your lightest highlights are going to be on the bottom lip. So you can see I kept all those in and tried to maintain them as best I could. And then the upper lip has just sort of those reflective sheen, especially in this one, the woman is wearing a very glossy lip gloss, so it has a kind of shiny sheen to that upper lip where the highlights are. And then again, going in, adding layer after layer for that line where the lips meet. Starting out on the tip of the brush to get that really fine dark line, I used the brown as well as Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray is one of my absolute favorite colors. It just gets a really, really rich, dark shadow. And then going around, just adding the color of the skin around those lips. And this is where you will be using more of the wet and wet technique to really smooth and blend it out. And then letting it dry a bit, and then going in with a brush that has been fully rinsed so it's clean, and just tapping it on like a paper towel or old piece of t-shirt to get it just damp instead of really soaking wet, and then going back over those edges to really smooth everything out. So that's how you get those more smooth skin tones. Our lips are very kind of rippled and have all these lovely lines, but you want to make sure when you are painting or drawing lips that you don't just have the lines going straight down. You want them to be curved to follow the shape of the lip. It just gives it more of a three-dimensionality. And also just paying attention to your reference image, or if you're looking at an actual figure or person in front of you, just really paying attention to where those shadows, highlights, and lowlights are. So you can see with the lip, the bottom lip, there's that dark undercurve, but then just like a sphere, there's kind of that secondary almost highlight underneath where the skin starts to meet the edge of the lips. So just making sure that you don't have super harsh outlines on the lips, that everything just starts to flow and blend together. And as you work, sometimes you'll think you have an area dark enough, but then as you continue to work and paint and build up those layers, you realize things need to be a little darker. So you go back in, add more shadows, add more vibrant color. But then the opposite can also happen, where you realize, okay, I sort of covered an area that I didn't really mean to. And while watercolor is not super forgiving, you can go back with a clean damp brush and sort of lift some of the color off. So I did do that a little bit. And for those areas where I wasn't able to get fully back to the light that I wanted, I did use a white colored pencil. You can use colored pencil over the top of dried watercolor to add a little bit of some of the details or colors or highlights that you want. So I did that and then went back and just made some final touches with the shadowing that I noticed needed some touching up with the paintbrush. If you want, you can slap a signature on at the end, and there's the final piece. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and then hit that bell if you want to receive notifications when a new video comes in. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one.